I bet you've seen this cycle before. Your pitcher comes out of a game and they do their same arm care program that they've done for the 100th straight time, and they're just going through the motions because they've hit a plateau from doing the same exercises over and over again. Well, that's how Armored Heat was built. So at the time, I was the physical therapist for the LA Dodgers, and I would try to get my head in every meeting possible just to kind of keep a pulse on what's going on and what's at the cutting edge of baseball. And really, it was cool. I loved being in those meetings, but then we'd come back to the training room, and for whatever reason, we're doing the same exact arm care program that players have been doing for 10, 15, 20 years, and I'm sure you guys have all seen it. It's your standard Ys, Ts, Is, ER, IR, with either bands, weights, or tubing. And there was no progression or variation to the program, and so I started to see this cycle over and over again where guys weren't stupid. They saw that they started to plateau, and then they just started going through the motions. And it never made sense to me that why are we waiting until guys get hurt and are in the rehab process to where we build these nice, dynamic, and progressing arm care programs that have variation. So when you break down arm care, there were two things that I wanted to improve in what the process was. One is what I just touched on, is I wanted there to be variation and progression built into the program. One, so that the arm gets a new stimulus every couple of weeks and you can keep progressing. And then two, because we all know the athlete's mentalities on if they're doing the same thing over and over again, they can really check out and just start going through the motions. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. And then on the second side of things, if you break down what arm care is, there's really three core principles. There's a strengthening component, there's a mobility component, and there's a recovery component. And really, arm care turned into something where it was done maybe once or twice per rotation, but I was of the mindset of, I think we can really move the needle for these guys' arms every day. Yes, it's not going to be strengthening every day because that's going to do you a disservice, but it may be, hey, on your pitch day, we're going to do the strengthening specific program. On a recovery day of throwing, a light day of throwing that you guys have, maybe now we plug in some of that soft tissue work on those muscles that tend to tighten up over the course of a year or multiple years for that matter. And then on a medium day, maybe that could be a day where we just get sniper specific, lower volume, but really lock into that scap work. So as basic as it sounds, that's exactly how Armored Heat's built out. It's all run through an app. And inside the app, there's video and written progressions for every single movement that we have in our program. The program itself runs in 2-week blocks. So in every 2-week block, there's 4 programs. 1 is for pre-throw, more on the activation side, and 3 are for post-throw. Those are the ones that are individualized to what they're doing for their throwing for that day. So on the front side of throwing, really, it's how you guys can plug it into your system however you see fit. Usually it's something along the lines of the athletes go and do their dynamic total body warm-up. Then they do their Armored Heat pre-throw activation to get a little more arm specific. Then if your guys do any plyo routines or pre-throw drills, then that's what they would plug that in, and then they go throw. And that just makes a real nice staircase approach to get them ready to throw on the front end of things. And then on the back end for their post-throw, like I said, there's really 3 main programs, and there's simply bucketed into a high workload day, a medium day, and a recovery or a low day. So on a high workload day, think for a starter like the start day or bullpen day. That's where we would plug in the full armor program for their post-throw arm care. And that's going to be our biggest strengthening emphasis of any program. It's going to hit from mid-scap musculature through the shoulder, through the elbow, and out to the forearm. So it's really going to be the most holistic program in terms of strengthening. And then for a recovery day of throwing on your end of things, so think day after a start and possibly day after a bullpen, that's where we're going to plug in our recovery mobility program. And that's a day where there's 0 muscular workload, because I truly believe in keeping these recovery days true recovery days. I think it's getting missed a little too much right now. But it's a great day to really lock in on some of that soft tissue, those muscles that really tighten up over the course of a year, multiple years, as I mentioned before, whether it be pec minor, biceps, lat, the back of the shoulder and the cuff. You guys all know the common players that tend to pop up throughout the year. And it's also a great day to hit some of that T-spine mobility and make sure that doesn't tighten up over the course of the season. And then lastly, on that medium or moderate throwing workload day, that's where we'll have the scapular emphasis program. And that's a day, much lower volume, but really a day to get sniper specific with the scap work, those muscles between the shoulder blades, and then there's a muscle that comes from the scapula all the way up to the front of the rib cage, so we're really hitting it from all directions there.